the best of times, through the worst of times, through Nixon and through Bush. 236, we went our separate ways. You fought for Stalin, I fought for freedom. We believe in authority, I believe in myself. I'm a Molotov cocktail, Dom Perignon, baby, what's that? Confused look in your eyes, what I'm trying to say is that I'll burn down buildings while you sit on a shelf inside of them. You call the cops on the looters and pythons, they call it class war, I call you co-conspirators. Cause baby, I'm an anarchist, you're a spineless liberal. We march together for the 8-hour day, held hands in the streets of Seattle. When it came time to throw bricks through that Starbucks window, you left me all alone, all alone.
You gonna pour it for me? I thought you were gonna pour it for me.
Well, it's hard to pour it without a glass.
Okay.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro. Oh yeah, that's right. Tradition. It's been a while.
You do that too, or?
Yeah, dude, that's a custom. It's a bar custom.
Yeah, I don't know how it started. Like my best friend in college, he started doing it. Like big Korean dude. Like I met him, he looked super weird, like Yakuza, like long ass hair, like down his back. Always wore a ponytail, but whenever we drink, he'd always cheers, then tap the bar, and he'd always used to make people think it was like some Korean custom or whatever.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Me and Kimmy started doing that, I don't know, a long time ago. Yeah. So it's just been tradition. You tap, bah, or cheers, tap, slam. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's a legit thing that's people are supposed to do, but I've always done it. So, you know, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for coming, dude.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me
On your
again.
Busy day off.
Busy day off with the family leaving this morning, so I have
Oh my
to fill my
God.
time. Yeah.
Oh my God. So much freedom. So we're going to the Grand Canyon tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, dude. Never been.
Me neither.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you've lived here longer
But
than I
yes,
have.
I'm
though.
from Arizona and I've never been. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that you've never been, you know, but me, it's kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, dude. Well, thanks for coming. So this is a nice Kentucky bourbon donated by JB. You know who you are. Thank you. It's smooth.
It is.
It's smooth.
It's one of my favorite ones.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really? Just coincidentally, you happen to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But, I mean, if it was a shitty one, I wouldn't have said we needed a drink.
Well, if any time there was a time to drink,
Is in celebration of your 15-year anniversary at work.
I was going to say of this awesome debate that happened last night, but you
That
know,
too.
But yes, 15 years of, you know,
Living the dream.
I've got quite a tolerance for pain. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, dude, 15 years, pretty wild. It went by real quick. You're at 4, 3?
I'll be 6 in September.
Oh, that's right. I remember those days back then, you know, wide-eyed, full of wonder.
No, that was like year 1 and 2.
Yeah. I think it's like right before you get out of the academy. 'Cause you're like, I don't get to just have cake and brownies for every meal anymore. Damn it. Yeah, dude. I miss those days. Anyway. Yeah. So what's up, dude?
Not much.
Cool. I'm glad you came on, man. I wanted to talk to you about, I know you saw the debate last night. So there we go. We saw the debate last night. So I know you're perfect time for you to convince me that this is all necessary to a free people.
Well, see, I wanted you to convince me that none of this is necessary.
Oh, cool. Let me just play the debate for you. Dude, it's like this is such an unserious nation because you got one guy over here is like, I did not have sex with a porn star. And the other guy's like, what? The border's, well, anyway.
No, dude, I think one of the best things to come out of that is that they should just decide everything on a golf match.
Dude, I saw that. Yeah. Well, I mean, he got his, what did Biden say he got his down to?
Down 6. I have no idea what that means. I hate golf.
Well,
sorry, I don't hate golf. I suck at it.
I just don't keep
There's a slight
score.
difference.
Yeah, it's like, why would you keep score during golf, dude? That's like a perfect way to ruin your golf trip.
Yeah.
You know, like,
No, my best, like, I love Top Golf. Driving ranges are okay. And I like driving a cart around while everyone else searches for their balls and I just drink.
oh, of course. You just get a little bit sloppy.
Yeah.
Well, did this last time. I kept hitting buttons. Anyway, I need to just upload a picture, just leave the background up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're always tweaking this fucking place. Yeah, dude, but it was a shit show. So I think because we've had discussions before, like I'm an anarchist, dude. Like I believe
We had a really great discussion offline a few weeks ago. That would have been,
we've had a few. So which one?
it was the one long one.
Oh, in my office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
When it was like at the end of work.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. So first off, I guess I should tell people like what my position is. My position is that people are, I don't know how optimistic you are, but people are kind of inherently, can you hear everything? Like, yeah, dude, I got my kids going with their iPads. It's like, hey, just be quiet for a little bit. Take this iPad. Do you guys do the iPad thing?
Yeah.
You guys are pieces of shit.
Oh no, dude, it's so crazy. Like, so starting summer break, I told my kids, like, you got to do your chores and you have to do this list of stuff in the first, like in the beginning of the day before you can have any iPad, TV, anything.
Yeah.
And it just gotten to the point where my daughter was just like, you know what? I don't want TV today.
Oh shit.
She's like, I'm not going to do my stuff. I was like, all right, you don't get TV or iPad. Okay.
That's fine with me, I guess. Yeah.
It's awesome. Like she behaves a lot better than on the days she does do her stuff and gets the iPad.
Of course. It's like that rat experiment when they were talking about how, you remember the propaganda where it used to be like, the scientists put a rat in a cage with a cocaine water bottle and it just did cocaine till it died. But it's like, if you gave it other stimuli, it wouldn't do the cocaine till it died. You know what I mean? So like when she realizes like, actually the days I don't get it, I have other things to do and it's as rewarding, I need it less. I'm not, you become addicted when that's like your only thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And it is like, so my MO, when like we take my son to jiu-jitsu is, all right, she's with us or she's with me. It's painful for a kid to just sit still for an hour and not do anything. So I'd always bring the iPad for her. Yeah. But yesterday she didn't want to do her chores in the morning. So I was like, well, I honestly forgot to bring the iPad anyways, but
okay. All right.
But she was there and she was completely fine. Like she was, played a few games with me for like 5-10 minutes or something, but most of the time she was just fine sitting there being quiet in her own little head. I mean, there's multiple times, is it almost over yet? Yeah. But she behaved completely fine. It's like back when we were kids, it's like, you're allowed to be bored.
Yeah. I didn't have an iPad either, man. And I was fine. Like, but if I had an iPad, I probably would have, I don't know what I would have done. Cause I had Nintendo. I grew up with Nintendo. Did you?
No, my cousins had it. I did not. We didn't have any game systems in the house until my younger brother started getting them. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And then I actually didn't even have an Xbox until after I started working here.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
You chose the Xbox, not the PlayStation?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's a mistake. I guess it's like you're born blind. You don't know what you're missing.
Well, I mean, like my cousins had Xbox growing up and my friends in college had Xbox. Yeah. So like, that's just what I knew more of.
Okay. Yeah. So, that's what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. But there's no Halo on PlayStation.
Yeah, that's true. We, dude, I don't know. We're like every parent, we're always torn about the iPad screen time. It's a constant fight, dude. Cause sometimes you're like, I just want to get some shit done. Here's this iPad. Yep. You know what I mean? Like it's always a struggle to do that. But I'm cognizant of it. Cause like I sometimes I'll see my screen time and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. No, it's like same thing. Like we're sitting with the kids, like we're watching TV. It's a family thing. And like either me or my wife are just on our phones the whole time, not even paying attention. Like, this is a horrible example.
It was a problem, dude. Cause like, I'll be like, same thing for us. I will send memes to my wife while she's like right there, where I can just be like, hey, look at that. You know what I mean? Like I actually send it to her. Like, I don't know.
My wife's off socials, so I can't do that. So it takes like one extra step to like copy and paste and then text it to her. So
did she choose to do that?
She chose to do it.
Damn. She's a wise woman.
Yep.
Mine too.
Well, I mean, she can't be too wise. They can't be too wise. They're with us.
That's true. But like usually you make like mistakes in different areas. Usually it's not all mistakes. Sure. So, she just messed up with you and got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's a screen time. It's fucking devil. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. The the debates.
Oh yeah.
And so my position, yeah, dude. So you look at the people that are in charge and you're like, these are not exceptional people. Like I'm not against elites. I just think our elites are not very elite. Like they're not super strong, fast, smart. You could say, I guess they're successful at politics, but like I don't view them as great, even moral people. I don't think they're moral people. And these are the people that make decisions for you. What?
Oh no, I'm just like thinking the debate. Do you know who Antonio Brown is? He's a sports ball player.
Okay, a sports ball player.
Yeah. So I said that because of your infatuation with all professional sports.
It's true. I love them.
No, he was one of the best wide receivers for his time when he played.
Oh.
Started with the Steelers, then bounced around for a few places, ended up in Tampa Bay, and then had a mental breakdown and walked up the field. He's the dude who took off his shirt at a halftime.
Oh, is he really good at like 3-point shots or half court shots or what?
Yeah, he's really good at like kicking the baseball into the hockey net.
Into the thing. Yeah, dude. I don't. Sports is a weird one, man. It's just like it's everyone's tribal nature. I guess I have that maybe in some other aspects, like Chinese Kempo will always be better than Kyokushin karate to me. But that's not real. It's not objective. It's just I grew up in the Kempo system, so I'm partial to it.
No, so is Kempo different? Like it's just a type of kung fu.
It's a hard karate. It's a hard karate. Yeah, so is Kyokushin, but they're comparable karate systems.
Oh, okay. Yeah, kung fu is better.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not. It depends on what you mean. It's not. It doesn't. You would get beat up trying to do it. I mean, there's not a lot of kung fu practitioners in the MMA world, I don't think.
No, but well, I mean, that's like easy. Anybody can do jiu-jitsu.
It's right, because they'd probably just kill people if they were in there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just, collapse their throats.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, 1-inch punch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, that's too deadly. You know that the fact about MMA why you can't do 12 to 6 elbows, like downward elbows?
Why is that?
Because originally when it was being founded, the commissioner, boxing commission, whatever, was like some idiot on there was like, I saw a guy break like 10 bricks with his elbow like that. So that's just too deadly. Even though that's no more deadly than me just swinging it this way, like a Muay Thai elbow. It's ridiculous.
Oh, but anyways, so back to Antonio Brown. He tweeted out, like good follow if you're on Twitter. Just
Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's I think his handle on Twitter is CTESPN because everyone's pretty sure he's got CTE,
chronic traumatic encephalopathy or whatever, like
whatever that says.
Yeah, brain
combined
damage.
with ESPN.
That's funny.
But he tweeted out like, what's Biden looking at? There must be a little kid in the crowd or something.
Yeah, dude, he did zone out. There must be a little kid in the crowd. That's funny. Yeah, he did zone out, man, quite a bit. And I've heard so my position is they're going to, just for current events here, I'm saying it now. What is today? The 28th, Friday the 28th, day after the debate. They're going to remove him and they're going to put someone else in. People are like, it's too late. But I'm like,
they have no choice.
They're going to have to. And all the signs point to that, right? Because the whole apparatus is kind of like motivating toward that. Like, oh, Biden's made a mistake. Oh, here's a fact check on Biden. This is coming from the left. You know, oh, like this was a blunder. This was blah, blah, blah. Panic.
Everyone was like, you don't even have to, like, I barely search for it. Like I didn't search for it at all, hardly. Just hop on like the, what's trending on Twitter.
Yeah. I know. It's fine. It's going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
And there's like so many people on the left, CNN saying, we need to get rid of him. That dude was gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, Kamala, maybe.
Well, no, I don't mean
in California.
I don't mean right now. No, dude, like, I don't mean get rid of him. Like, he'll make it to the end of his presidency or whatever.
Oh no, they're going to run someone else.
Yeah, run someone else. Yeah. So like in November.
No, they're not going to go Hillary or Putin on him.
So right. So their convention's August 19th or whatever. So I think if they get rid of him in this month, in July, they could put Newsom up there, Michelle Obama, someone like that, that has name recognition, that, the lowest common denominator will recognize and all that. I think they could do it. I think that's their best bet. It's their only choice. Yeah. Well, no, they could go with Biden again. They could
just throw this one.
Well, I mean, depends on what they're planning on doing.
I mean, dude, you've got CNN polls saying that 33% of people favored Biden over Trump.
I saw that from a CNN poll, which is they're pretty motivated to not if that was true, not to put that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's brutal, dude. I think they're going to have to get rid of him. They have to. So that's my bet. So
no more President Jill.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, so from my perspective as a anarchist, libertarian type person, when I watch that debate, I'm looking at it like, as it's all a good thing. It's all a good thing to me because this is kind of like how ridiculous it is. Like I said in the beginning, Trump's up there. Like I didn't have sex with a porn star and Biden's, just, like fucking off doing whatever he's doing in his mind.
I think you're probably moving around a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. He just kind of would phase lock on something. Probably a little kid, like you said. But to me, that like rips the curtain off shit for normie people, like normal people who don't pay attention. They're like, these are the fucking people. This is the figurehead of the executive branch, because people still hold the presidency, like normal people. They still hold the presidency as some kind of like sacred position. You know what I mean?
I don't think they have the last 8 years.
I don't know, man, because like, have you met a real Trump supporter? Like a real Trump supporter? Even like someone like
my dad.
Well, yeah, like there are people like, oh, he's going to save the country. I'm like, oh. One, he doesn't have enough power to do that. Two, he's not that guy. Like three, it's like, you need to understand the president. It's not him. Like Trump he would make more decisions than Biden. Right. But even him, like through his presidency, he had 4 years. There was a lot of shit that happened that he did not want to happen, that he allegedly had control over. Troop levels in Syria, for example. He's the executive, like he's the head of the military, correct? Right?
Yeah.
So if he said, hey, if he gives an order, the military, as long as it's legal, should carry it out, right? Theoretically.
Yeah.
So when he says withdraw the troops from Syria, and they lie to him about how many troops are there, and nobody suffers a consequence for that. Nothing happens. You know what I mean? Like, is he really in power? Like, yeah, he has the authority to do it, but if they're just going to lie to him or just not do it, like how much power do you have? Especially when you don't inflict consequences.
Yeah.
So there's somebody that we both know that believes that this is 5D chess at this point, that he's playing the long game. He let all this shit happen so he could set up Pelosi, Schumer, like set up all these like establishment people to like show that they're the real treasonous people. You know what I mean? And I'm like, at this point, that just does not make sense, bro.
No, I don't. I mean, I've never been a fan of Trump. I've preferred Trump over the other guy both times.
As a Christian conservative, you don't side with Trump?
So given the binary between him and his opponent, I go with him.
Lesser of two evil?
Yeah.
The problem is it's still evil, like that should not be your choices. So that's why my position is as a libertarian and an anarchist.
So which one are you, a libertarian or an anarchist?
My political philosophy is libertarian. Like I believe that the way that we interact, me and you, is necessarily built on the non-aggression principle, meaning I don't initiate force on you, you don't initiate force on me, right? If we're being peaceful, and private property rights. That's my political philosophy, but that's actually more than that, because it's the necessary prerequisite for me and you to have any kind of interaction that's peaceful. Because if one of us or both of us don't believe it's wrong to just violently beat the shit out of the other person for whatever reason, no reason, just I can initiate force on you. There's no way we can have a peaceful interaction, because the second we have a disagreement, I'm like, I'm just going to kill you and take your shit, or vice versa, So I build my political philosophy off that, because it's really a natural thing. Everyone kind of agrees with that. Like whether you're a Democrat, it's hard to explain, because not like,
let's start from the beginning, and then let's go with what your ideal worldview would be, and then move to how do we get there.
Right, because that's the problem with libertarians, right? Is they think that this could happen tomorrow, but it can't, because culturally people are not ready, morally people are not ready. I believe in incrementalism. Yeah. So as an anarchist, I am a member of the Libertarian Party. I voted trying to change things toward that direction, right? So I've already laid out my view politically, like the non-aggression principle and private property rights, meaning you don't initiate force on peaceful people, and you have a right to your private property. And property is things like your body, resources that you mix with your labor. So like if there's a tree somewhere down the road, it's just a tree. But if you chop that tree down and you shave it,
firewood,
turn it into something, you've mixed it with your labor.
2x4s, yeah.
It's your property, right? And that's just a foundation. You can get more into it than that. But let's just say as a foundation, that's kind of how I judge things. So anything that will move us in line with that worldview. So like taxes, for example, is a big libertarian one. It's pretty famous, right? The reason why that violates those principles is because I could be completely peaceful, right? Me and you, let's say there's three of us, me, you, and Dan. And Dan's like, hey, I'm going to build a road over here, and you guys are going to give me 20% of whatever you guys have, and you can use this road, right? I don't have a problem with that per se. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that he says, you have to give me this for this road, whether you want it or not, right? Like you don't agree. It's not voluntary, right? So it violates the non-aggression principle because I'm peaceful. And if I don't pay those taxes, they will initiate force on me, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not something I agree to. And now you can get into the weeds about this. They'll say, well, it's a social contract or whatever, which that's ridiculous on its face. Like I never signed a contract. I never agreed to anything explicitly. So how can I be in a contract I don't know I'm in, like legally? How could I be beholden to that? This is getting into the weeds though. So if you have questions, just stop me because I could talk about this. Mm-hmm. So the current system we have constantly violates aggression. Taxes is an example, but there's lots of examples. And private property rights, right? Because if you taxation actually violates both because your labor, your money, how did you make that? With your effort, your time, your body. So saying I am entitled to a certain percentage of your resources is saying I'm entitled to a certain portion of your body. Like you have to use your body to generate this much resources for me, right? So it violates property and it violates non-aggression. Because the consequences, if you don't give me that shit, is I'm going to aggress on you, meaning whatever, take something from you or put you in jail, whatever it is, beat you up. I don't know. So that's like where our current system violates my foundational political philosophy as a libertarian. And then once you agree to those things as your foundation, the only logical conclusion to come to is that you should be an anarchist because otherwise you're going to say anarchy gets a bad rap. So I can't remember the actual foundational word, but it's from the Greek language that just means without rulers, means no one's in charge of you, like in that position. Doesn't mean there's no hierarchies because there will always be hierarchies. You're going to be better at whatever.
Reaching stuff off the top shelf.
Yeah, well, 100%. You'll be able to pick me up, it's like I can pick stuff up. You know what I mean? So like as far as getting stuff off the top shelf, you'll be above me in the hierarchy, when it comes to taste in video games, I will be better at that, because you are familiar with Xbox and you have no knowledge of PlayStation. So there's going to be hierarchies, which I'm not against. Mm-hmm. The problem is enforced hierarchies.
So real quick, what is the difference between anarchy and libertarianism?
Anarchy. So libertarianism is a political philosophy between me and you. Anarchy is just like a societal, I think anarchy is the natural conclusion of libertarian principles.
Okay, but so if it's the conclusion, what is the difference?
That libertarian principles, the non-aggression principle on private property rights talks about an interaction between me and you. And then anarchism just describes my relationship to everything, like everyone, every relationship everywhere, like at all times. Like I don't believe somebody should be in charge of me. Like tell me by force what to do or whatever. Like I guess they could be interchangeable.
Okay.
Really.
Okay.
Not everyone probably agrees with it like that, but that's kind of how I think of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, like what part of this philosophy so far do you disagree with? Is the foundation like you're like, no, we need to initiate force on peaceful people at some point?
No,
okay.
No, I don't. I
okay.
mean, obviously, I don't agree with that.
Some people do. They don't know they do, but once they get into it, they're like, oh yeah, I guess I do. Yeah, I don't know.
No, well, I mean, just keep going.
Okay, so once you get to this point, now everything I do is trying to bring the world around me in alignment with my worldview, right? So obviously my job, I work for a organization that is part of the state. right? Which I got the job before I came to these conclusions. And then now you're caught up in the momentum. You have people that depend on you, families, infrastructures built around it. So it's like I'm actively working to kind of remove myself from that as much as I can. And initially, hopefully, I'll work for myself and not for somebody else. I'm not against employer-employee relations at all, because I don't view what we do as working for Walmart. I think it's kind of different because we use force and Walmart doesn't,
Yeah.
And you might argue that we use force on peaceful people in some regard, meaning,
Well, I mean, you can detain someone that is peaceful and that is using force.
For sure. Or say I don't know. I don't believe in gun laws per se. Like, I don't think if someone is peaceful and has a gun, I don't think there's something that I can say that like, you can't have that gun. Even if you're a felon or whatever, I still don't agree with that because like allegedly, even in this system, did you pay your debt to society or not? No. Cause like if you go to prison you get convicted, you do your time, you should be able to get out and you should be able to vote and have a gun or whatever, Yeah. I mean, that's what I think. I don't know. So you can go into the weeds in that society. Like if you were to go to a straight anarchist society, you could have police, security forces, whatever. You could have courts. You could have all the things we have now. People think are only possible with the state, with taxes, whatever. Like take the fire department, for example. There used to be competing fire departments. That used to be a thing. Like they used to the plug uglies is what they used to call the little kids. They would go and they would have them sit on the fire hydrants to, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I never knew what they were called, but I remember like seeing videos or like movies from like set, back in the day.
1800s. Yeah.
Like late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah. So like this was a thing and companies can even interact. Private companies can interact with each other on your behalf. So like you have an insurance company. I have an insurance company. If we get into a dispute, they can mediate it and they're private, well, essentially they should be, and they technically are, but not really. The government has their hand in everything, but, our car insurance, those are private companies, right? So like when we get into an altercation or a disagreement or
an accident.
No, not even that. Like, yes, an accident is a version of it, but like a
car insurance company isn't gonna mediate between you and I because I think you're an asshole.
Oh no, well they could though. I mean, not them, but I mean a private company could hypothetically do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I'm just saying as an example, we have an example of private companies mediating disputes amongst people, because a lot of times this question comes down to, well, what do you do if this guy doesn't, respect your private property rights or whatever? It's like, well, I'm not like, some people get this confused with libertarians and think that we don't use force. We can't use force or whatever. It's like, no, it's the non-aggression. I don't aggress against peaceful people. But if someone's like, I'm going to rob you and take your shit, I'm like, well, I don't believe in aggression.
That's them aggressing.
That's them aggressing. So I believe in self-defense. Yeah. I believe in force. I just don't think you should initiate it on someone who's peaceful. So like pretty much in my worldview, if I was like to move society toward that direction, there would be no crimes other than violent crimes. Like there would be nothing like,
you can take someone's personal property and that's not violent.
It is. Well, it's force because my foundation, non-aggression, private property rights. So if you violate either one of those, like private property is how we determine who used force. You own your body. That's why I can't just punch your body, right? Because you own it. I can't just take your hat off your head because that's your hat. It's not your body, but it's your property, your hat. You mixed it with your labor, right?
Yeah. I just associate violence with physical harm.
Well, stealing is violence, I think. It's not the same as like punching you in the face, but it's aggression. It's if I forcibly take something from you, like I take it from you, that's force to me. Because we already...
No, it is force.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
It's not violence. We're getting semantics.
Sure. Yeah. Semantics.
This is like saying, me hurting your feelings is emotional violence.
Yeah, I don't say,
which neither you or I
don't agree with that. Yeah, because like you didn't mix your labor with your, I don't know, like it's not a physical thing. It's not like I don't know. All right,
so look at like you, or either one of us or something, Joe Schmo puts a lot of time and effort into their physical appearance, and you just go and say, "You look really stupid." I mean, just based on your definition of time and effort.
Yeah, but what do they take from you, or what do they? It's
emotional violence. They're not.
Okay, yeah, I don't agree with that.
All right, so again, I associate violence with physical harm.
Yeah, so taking your property is physical harm, I would say. Taking your property, your physical property.
That's using force against someone to steal something from them.
No, not even that. Like, let's say it's easy to contextualize like this. You and your family, we live, this is the fucking 1200s. You guys are farmers. You're fucking trying to get through the winter. So you're fucking stockpiling whatever crop. I come, take the crop, right? What's going to happen to you and your family? It's going to be real hard and some of you might die. You know what I mean? Like that
But we're not in the 1200s.
Well, but that the principle's the same. Like I'm taking from you something from you that you mix. That just highlights the effect of my force against you. It wasn't directly on your body, but what I did to you was take from you.
Yes,
by force.
You taking my hat is not, in the long run, in the short run, not going to have any detrimental effects on me or my family.
Right. So
it's still taking my personal property.
Yeah, I'm just highlighting the principle of the thing. I'm taking something that that cost you something, like, or you mixed it with your.
I'm not saying that it's right, or I'm not saying that you taking my hat is right, or that it's not wrong. I'm just saying like violence, or violence. ISO is like physical harm to.
Oh, violence. Okay, yeah. That's why I usually use force.
Okay, force.
Force is like what I say, but because I guess technically it's. Like if you put your hat down the floor and I pick it up and run off, like it's not violence, but it is force because I did a physical action against you.
Okay.
But violence, I guess, would be like actually physically against your body.
Yes.
Okay. So then we're in agreement.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything I can do to move things toward that direction, that's what I try to do. I'm an incrementalist, I guess, and I'm not against, well, I mean, I am against anything that is contra to that. So when I hear about a new bill or a new policy or a new whatever, I weigh it against those principles, right? Like those foundational principles of, like if you tell me, hey, I'm going to start selling fentanyl on the street or whatever, like let's just hypothetically, let's remove the legal context of it. Like, do I have a problem with that? Do I have an issue with that? How am I going to evaluate that morally? Right. So is it your fentanyl to sell? Sure. Check. It's yours, your property. Like the person you're selling it to, do they have a choice? Do they have agency? Is it voluntary? Now you can say, well, they're addicted to it. It's like, okay, well, did they make the choices that got them addicted to it? Okay. Like, are they responsible for their choices? Because ultimately this comes down to personal responsibility is a huge cornerstone of this.
All right. So just following that logic, what if someone, the first time, it's like first, 2-3 times, like, yeah, I want like not addicted to it. I do want the fentanyl or I want the, whatever addictive substance it is. But down the line, it's like, man, I really want to quit, but I just can't. At what point
you might be able to articulate some kind of nefarious, I could say something's immoral, right? Like it might be immoral.
But I mean, if like the person, like take the drug dealer out of it, but like,
no, you're selling fentanyl, dude. That's the scenario I set up.
All right. But you're saying it's the choice, if they're not like,
they're both consenting adults.
Right? But are they consenting to the point where it's like, again, the one person's like, I want to quit, but I physically cannot. Like I have a physical need for this.
So he's telling his dealer, I want to quit. I can't quit. So sell it to me. Is that what you're saying?
Either that or he's telling himself.
Oh, okay.
Either one.
Then he's responsible. I believe in individual responsibility. So yeah, I mean,
all right. So let's say he's telling his dealer then.
Okay. Well, I mean, morally,
or let's say I'm addicted to fentanyl and I'm telling you are not my dealer. And you need to use force in order to keep me from going to buy the fentanyl. Oh,
yeah, that's immoral then. Yeah, because you're peaceful, right? You're a peaceful person. If I initiate force on you, that would be a violation of the NAP, the non-aggression principle.
But I'm telling you, no matter what I say, don't let me go get it. Well, and then an hour later, F you, Mark, I want to go get my fentanyl.
Yeah. So can contracts exist in this world? I think they can. Because like if we sign a contract, me and you, like, hey, we're not going to, you're my neighbor. Like, hey, if you buy this house, we're going to sign a contract that after 10 PM, we're not going to play audibly loud music, right? We sign this contract. And then like a year down the road, you're like, I don't give a shit about that contract. I'm just going to do it. Boom, boom, boom.
All right. So what about times when, again, just same scenario, like I'm not in the right frame of mind because I'm addicted to fentanyl.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could say that on either. You could use that for either when I sign the contract or after when I'm trying to renege on the contract.
If you're not in the right, well, I mean, there's a moral question there. There is. I mean, like So it comes down to reasonableness, I guess, because like a girl could consent to have sex and then she doesn't, or she passes out. Like, is it still moral to have sex with her? I don't think so. You know, like personally, I don't think so.
Well, in that scenario is like if the other individual is, I guess, sober. I mean, you could have.
Well, even if you're both drunk, like whatever, like that's not. I don't know. Like the morality of it to me doesn't really change, unless because if you're so drunk you can't. I don't know how you could have sex to begin with, but like, I don't know. Like, yeah, there are moral questions to ask, but that's how I weigh them, right? So like most people don't know how they're making their moral evaluations, like or political evaluations, whatever. So any situation, and there are some gray areas, there's some tough questions that exist even in our system. Like I would argue our system isn't really built on anything approximating what I'm saying. And people will point to the Constitution, but it's not based on that. Not anymore. Maybe at one point it was. But I mean, we've seen how that's gone. I can name 10 examples off the top of my head, you know, how that's just totally out the window. They use it like kind of as a guide. Like they'll use it when it's convenient and then they'll just disregard it when it's not, you know. I mean the government, the people. Yeah. So I just think power like that corrupts you. It would probably corrupt me too. So I don't want it. I don't want it.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts.
Exactly,
absolutely.
Dude. I fucking believe that 100% because I have nothing but examples that that's true, dude. I don't know what you experienced, dude. Like
with power,
yeah,
very little because I don't have a whole lot.
You're fucking FTO, bro. So are you just shitting all over the trainees?
No, I mean my second class, I was training for a half. And I had tendonitis in both knees, so I actually feel bad because we did not go out and hike a whole lot.
David Goggins would have.
Well, I'm not David Goggins.
I'm just saying. Oh, clearly.
Yeah,
because you would have went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's good. I mean, and maybe that level won't, but at some point.
Oh no! I mean, like I like to think of myself as like very introspective and like. Yeah. I mean, I've been around a lot. I've experienced a whole lot. Like I've been on, multiple ends of different interactions. Yeah. And like I like to think that
you sound good, but can you get just a little bit closer to that mic? Yeah. Yeah.
I like to I'm sure you're in the same place. Like I would like to think that in all situations, I would do the, right moral thing, but I can also foresee a time where it's like, all right, you know what? I need to, for whatever reason, I'm making the wrong decision.
So the only thing that I'm saying in the situation I'm talking about, the only thing stopping you would be you, right? Because like, I think that's why a lot of people turn to a religion, especially like, the trope, like someone will be a fentanyl, like a drug addict, or they'll do a bunch of terrible things in their life. And then they'll find Jesus and they'll be like, like saved or whatever. Like, because they, in their, like a lot of, not saying everybody, but some people will think I am not powerful enough to control myself. So I need this thing outside of me to tell me not to do it. You know what I mean? Some people do that. So like, imagine if you ever watch the show The Boys?
I watched the first season.
So you're aware of Homelander.
Yeah.
Like he's basically a Superman type character, but like
but blonde.
He's blonde and
no freeze breath.
He doesn't have freeze breath. That's right. I don't think he does. But anyway, he's super powerful, strong, all that stuff. He's basically the most powerful person or thing on the planet. And he's kind of an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, because he doesn't have to be nice, like any constraints that are there they would be for morals or to be artificial. Like, cause like we're all constrained in a lot of different ways. Like sometimes some people are just constrained by a criminal might be constrained by, I'm not going to rob people in this neighborhood because I know everyone in this neighborhood fucking owns guns. You know what I mean? Like they'll be constrained in that way, like, but if you don't have those constraints, like if you're ultimately powerful, I can see how that would corrupt you. And then that's an approximation of like a high level politician, like I truly believe there is a body count for the Clintons. Like they have probably led to the deaths of people, allegedly. Like
people have said it, not us.
People have said it in books, and there seems to be a preponderance of evidence. But I'm just saying, like whether they had or not, they have the ability to, and they've already been shown to be immoral in other areas. So why would murder be off the table if they could get away with it. You know, like they're in a position like Homelander where like he could just kill everyone on a plane and just crash the plane and nobody would be able to, no one would know. No one would be able to, even if they knew, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. It's fucking Homelander, you know? So I just see people giving that level of power to a person or a group of people in our situation. It's not a good thing. Like it always ends like the situation we have today. We're all like, are you aware of any malfeasance done by the state, the U.S. government? I mean, like
none whatsoever.
None whatsoever. Okay. Well, if you ever look into it, just Google it. You know, I'm just saying like, so all the things they've done, like, I don't think they should have been in the position to do it because this is they'll call me or libertarians utopians. Like, oh, you'll never have a scenario where there's no state or whatever. You're living a utopian dream. It's equally or more as utopian to say, I'm going to give this government a shit ton of power and just not expect them to go out of control with it. You know, like let's
expect them to not go out of control.
Yeah, to not go out of control with it. Like that. How many examples do we have of states just going fucking homicidal, genocidal, democidal? Democidal is a formal term for governments killing their people, by the way.
Oh,
I learned that from a book. But yeah, dude. So like that to me, that's the conclusion. That's why I became an anarchist, is like, because I realize what people are, because I am introspective like you. I look inside and I see what I am. And I'm like, I don't think I should have absolute power. I would like to think I would be good with it, but my version of good might be complete evil for somebody. So I just would rather not have control over people like that.
All right. So just touching on that, like even in a libertarian, complete, like your utopian, libertarian,
anarchist society,
anarchist society, you've got you and me. Your idea of moral and correct is the exact opposite of mine.
Sure.
How do we interact?
Well, it depends on your morals, because like, I think generally this is why this system works so well. Generally, if like, I believe in non-aggression and private property rights. So if you don't, let's say you believe in always aggression, like you just aggress on everyone you come across. Like,
let's say like, not even like, let's say you, like, we're both in the same spot with non-aggression, but I don't believe in personal property.
Well, that personal property is how we define aggression. So like,
but if I don't agree with that,
well, okay, well then you agree with you. Then from my definition, you would believe in aggression, because like aggression, the way we know that it's aggression for me to punch you in the face is because that's your face and not my face, right? That's how we know. So it's built in almost like private property ownership is built into the non-aggression principle. Like, because if nobody owned anything, nothing belonged to anybody, then everyone could do everything with everything at any time. Right. And there'd be no way to aggress on somebody. But once you establish like, this is my face, this is my phone, this is my hat, now aggression comes into play, because anything you do against those things, right, that would that would meet the definition of the level of aggression. Like, because if there was,
all right, but let's say like your hat is on the ground.
Yeah.
I saw you wearing it yesterday.
Sure.
And I'm like, that's a nice hat. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to give it back to Mark, because I don't believe in personal property.
You steal my hat. Yeah. So you steal the hat. Well, in my version, like in a world like that, we can't exist, because if you don't think that I can have property, or you think you're entitled to my property, we can no longer have a peaceful interaction, because by my definition, you violated the non-aggression principle. You have aggressed.
Yeah, but it's not my definition.
Well, then give me another definition.
I mean, it's like I didn't I didn't express violence on you.
If I kill you, if I shoot you,
that would be aggressing.
Well, but that's not how I define aggression. You know what I mean? Like this, it's at some point we all have to agree on terms. It is subjective at the very foundation of it, because words have to have meanings or we can't interact. Like there's a very baseline that we have to agree to, or we can't have any kind of interaction. If we don't speak the same language, there's no way we can communicate. There's no way we can exchange ideas. Like, how are we categorically, by definition, how are we going to be able to communicate? Like, how are we going to have to interact, So if we don't agree on what aggression is, which virtually everybody does, right? Agree on aggression. Even criminals know they're aggressing on people. They know that it's wrong to rape somebody, or it's not generally acceptable to rape people. That's why they usually do it in secret or, whatever. So like it's the necessary prerequisite to have a peaceful interaction. That's why it's the foundation of libertarian thought and principles. I mean, Yeah, I mean and that's also why it works, is because everyone, even whether you're libertarian or not, everyone operates like that. Generally, go anywhere in the city. Well, that's not true nowadays because people will take your shit. But like generally, you go into a Circle K in Alabama or a Piggly Wiggly on the East Coast. Do you have Piggly Wigglies where you're from?
No.
Okay.
I think that's a more southern thing.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out how south you are because I don't know. All right. So you go into the grocery store. Generally, people aren't just going to punch you in the face or take your shit or, take things out of your car. Like there's all these social societal norms that existed before we had the state we have. Like, these are natural human things that we do. Yeah, I don't know. Like to me, that seems very consistent. Like it seems very morally consistent. It works across cultures. Like you can go around the world and generally like there are some situations where rape is culturally acceptable, but generally it's not. Like every culture has a definition of rape, whatever that is. The idea of rape, unwanted sexual activity exists in all cultures. So like your question though, well, that's not my definition of aggression. Well, then I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like,
but how would you,
oh my God.
How would you interact with an individual like that? Like they're completely peaceful.
I already told you that's self-defense at that point. From my point of view, it's self-defense. If someone's like, I'm going to take your hat because I don't believe you this hat is your property.
They're not taking off your head. He knows saw you wearing it with
sure.
you.
Yeah. I found your hat on the ground and I'm keeping it. I'm like, well, that's my hat. That's my hat. I'm getting my hat back because you stole that hat from me, right? Like that. In my perspective, my philosophy, that is my property, right? And you would say that's not your property. Well, okay, then we don't agree what property is and we don't agree what aggression is.
All right, so have you seen Dances with Wolves?
Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Great movie. So he's hunting the buffalo with the tribe that he's living with.
Right, yeah.
And he loses his hat on the plane and he sees a dude later who had the hat. And he's like, if it meant so much to him, he would have gone back to get it, but he didn't care for it. He didn't want it.
Yeah.
Why should I give it back to him?
Yeah, sure. So does that change the fact that he knows it was his hat, right? At one point, it was his hat. So can you lose ownership of something? I think there is a reasonable argument to be made. Like, hey, I own this hat and I throw it, or I leave it somewhere, whatever. I just fucking.
Well, in this instance, it
falls off.
Fell off.
It falls off and I'm like, fuck it.
And he didn't think about it at all until he saw someone else with it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's something we could litigate between, like in a society, like that's why I don't think society would pop up tomorrow. It would be culturally arrived at.
Even the society like we had today or at the founding of America didn't pop up overnight. It took several hundred years.
Yeah, the culture he was in didn't just pop up like that. So in their culture, it would be like that. So like it is like if you don't.
Well, his culture was a little bit different from the Indians' culture, but yeah.
Well, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the culture, the Indian that took his hat was like, hey, in this society, this is what it's like here. You know what I mean? Like you left your hat, you obviously didn't care about it. You know what I mean? Or whatever. It would be the societal norm, right? There are societal norms, and that's almost a greater pressure than any law. Like, because there are things that like it's not illegal for you to fucking wear a Speedo everywhere you go, but
it's encouraged.
I encourage it, but generally the general population
would also encourage it.
Well, that's true. It depends on where you're going, but yeah. So like that's a societal norm. It's not societally norm for you to just walk around with your ass cheeks hanging out as a dude. You know, it is for women now, but it wasn't always like that either.
Unless you're in California.
What do you mean? Oh yeah. And what is this? Is it June still? It is June. Oh shit.
Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Oh, that's right. That's what was the one where they put out like the last day? It was like
Asian Pacific Islander Month or something. Yeah, it was like
the last day. The last day of the month. They were like, oh, by the way, this whole month we were in was Asian Pacific Islander.
Well, dude, I think they just sent out the email for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month this week.
Oh, cool. The last week. Sweet. Just like men are last at everything.
Hey, we're more important than Asians, apparently.
You want more of this? Just one more. You know, we got plenty of time.
Yeah.
You know,
I got a thing of water.
Yeah, dude, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video where the guy's like, no, and then like it zooms out and it's him pouring it, like. Yeah, dude. So like the foundation of my principles are that. And so like when I look at our society and I look at all the things that are happening with our government, with our culture, with all these things, and it violates every single one of my principles and morals and all these things, you know? So like this is my political philosophy. I also have a moral philosophy, which informs my political philosophy, right? Like, so like generally, I tend to think that I want to promote as much flourishing as possible and as least amount of suffering as possible. That's generally the scale that I operate when it comes to morality, right? So like if you take like transitioning children or something, like to make kids trannies or whatever, does that promote flourishing or does that promote suffering? And then you have to look at all the finer points, the variables, everything at this when you make your decision. Like for that kid, it might make him feel better short term, but then it could make him feel worse.
Or it could not.
You have to look at it. It's like case by case, like so subjective, but there are some things that are in general, rape does not promote flourishing. Even for the person doing the rape, it doesn't promote flourishing. In the big picture, it doesn't. You know, like, do you want to live in a society where people just rape everyone? Anytime you can just be raped. No, that's not a society that anybody wants to live in, because even psychopaths, like not psychopaths technically, but like criminals have people they care about. Typically. And they don't want their mothers or whoever they care about to be violated like that. So it's like even in their own interest to not live in that society. So that's my moral foundation. So my political foundation, non-aggression principle, private property rights. My moral foundation, the most flourishing, the least amount of suffering. That's like the scale I use. So yeah, because I'm not a religious person. I'm an atheist. And I know a lot of people think like, oh, you don't believe in God, you can't be moral, but that's clearly not true. Yeah.
Well, I mean, morals are subjective too, but
some people, well, that's an argument in Christianity, because I've talked to Christians who believe they're objective, because technically
they're objective to them.
Not even them. Like they believe if God says it is moral and he's the God of everything at all times forever, then it's moral for everyone.
Well, I mean, like I'm a Christian. I do believe that, my Christian morals are the right ones. Otherwise, if I didn't, then I would have different morals. But I recognize at the same point, I recognize that you as an atheist or, someone as a Buddhist have completely different morals.
Yeah.
And to those people, those are objectively the best morals, but I recognize that it is subjective.
But you think they're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's the same thing for me. Like I also think some of those people are wrong morally.
I mean, if I thought they were right, I would have the same morals.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Like morality is a weird one that a lot of people haven't even thought about, you know, like, or they only derive it from their religion and they never really think about it. They're like, well, just, this is wrong.
I mean, even in like Christianity or pretty much any religion, you have different sects, different groups of morals within those.
30,000 or something.
Even like within the United States, you have different sets of morals within as a citizen of the United States. Like what is best for my community, what is best for the country.
Yeah, that's true. That's the other thing about the system we live in, like this giant overarching federal system. Like even, like, do you believe, your turn to get interviewed, do you believe that this is a government of the people, for the people, by the people?
At this point in time, no. At the founding, I think it was.
Sure.
I think like...
You had more of an argument then.
I think that things... So I don't think there is a perfect government. I do think that government is necessary to, at least to some extent. I mean, even like in your mind, like, so like a construct between a community of individuals, there is something that is governing you, whether it's moral, whether it's something written down or what, that is still something governing how your interactions.
Sure. It's voluntary, I think, is the difference, or there's no force behind it.
Yeah. I do think that.
Is that yours?
Oh, yeah. I think my...
You good? Take it if you want. I can pause.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. But yeah, so if you don't believe...
Hold on, I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sorry, what'd you say?
All right, let's try this again. So if you don't believe this is a government of the people, for the people, by the people, right? Where's the disconnect? So what system do we have then?
I don't know.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, I think that things really started to go downhill with Woodrow Wilson as president. It's
a good point to start. Yeah. The new deal. No,
that wasn't the New Deal. That was FDR.
Yeah. No,
Woodrow,
I was about to say, so go ahead. Say
so that, I mean, he's the dude who started the Fed, started the big administrative state, which you and I both think is completely bass backwards.
Yeah. It's dog shit for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't think there is a perfect form of government. I think that there are, like the founding said, a more perfect union.
Yeah, but that was 1913.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm saying like people made bad decisions to start sending us towards that. Like nothing happens overnight, like we've discussed. Yeah. And incrementalists, like you can go incrementally in the good direction or in the wrong direction. And I think that things started, like there were things that would be incrementally good, but I think more things went incrementally bad leading up to Woodrow Wilson's presidency.
So how do you gauge which way is which? Like this is a step in the wrong direction. This is a step in the right direction.
I mean, that would take a lot more research into U.S. history to see where to list out everything that was wrong, everything that was correct.
Yeah. Okay.
I do you and I have discussed it in the past. I think that there does need to be some sort of, I don't even know if centralized is the right word, but there does need to be something overhead to protect your people, your group of people, however large or small that community is, whether it's, the 50 states we have now, or if it's just Tucson, or if it's just your household saying, hey, we need to, if something happens, you need to listen to me or else force will be applied. Like if there's, if there's a house fire and you tell your kid, hey, we need to leave now, leave your iPad. And the kid says, no, I'm going to go back for my iPad. You have to, at one point, like you say, no, that's too dangerous. You're going to force them out.
Yeah. 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 So like at some point, like it all comes down to force. If you want someone to do something, kids are a little different though, because they don't think they have full agency.
I mean, it's not a perfect example. It's just,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's a key difference though. Like it's a key, like they can't be responsible for their choices. But like,
all right, let's say like, you live in a fortified town, you've got a town wall.
Sure.
And the dude who's supposed to watch the gate says, hey, no, I'm lazy. I don't want to close the gate at night. It's like, hey, you're going to close that gate. It's your job to, for whatever reason, he's the only person who can watch it at night. You're going to close the gate. You're going to lock it, or else you're going to get, reprimanded somehow. Part
of the contract of the job or something. Like if you want this job, this is the conditions of employment, sign this paper or whatever.
Or even if you want to live here.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever the conditions are. I mean that at some point force has to be there. So I think personally, like I said, I believe in force. I just think it shouldn't come central. It shouldn't be centralized force. Like there should be, if you rape somebody or do something horrific to somebody, there should be
steal their hat,
dude. You death, straight to jail. No, or whatever that meme is. No, dude, like there should be a consequence, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that should be delivered by your community. It should be delivered by the person who you stole the hat from. It should be delivered by a private company that like you guys all, like, let's say we live in this neighborhood of whatever, this neighborhood I live in, our HOA contracts with like a G4S or a whatever private, Securitas or some private company. Like there's no more police.
You can re-up.
Yeah. So there's no more police. So we have a private firm, whatever. And we all agree to this. We sign up for it. We all pay for it, whatever. Like that's, we agree. The key difference between that and taxation, it's voluntary. It's fucking voluntary. That's the huge, I would have no issue. I might have an issue with like, if someone's like, I volunteer to be a slave, but I don't have,
if someone wants to volunteer for it.
I don't know, man. Like there's something I have to think about that.
It's like, hey, I don't have to pay for anything. You provide my housing, you provide my food, you provide my clothing, and I'll be your little maid or whatever.
Yeah, it's like that reasonableness, because at some point they
are entering a voluntary agreement.
That's true. Yeah, I guess it would be like the motivations behind it. Like I don't know. We could explore that, but like we could have private companies that would arbitrate things or defend our freedoms. Like, you steal my hat. Like, I call them, tell them, present the evidence, like, or whatever, have it on film or however. We're living in today's times. So I prove that you took my hat. Like, here's the receipt for the hat. Here's a picture of me wearing the hat. Here's a video of him taking the hat, like whatever I do. And then they can go get the hat for me if I'm not strong enough to get it myself, or I don't want to, or whatever. Like, that's their function. Now people are like, that's police, but it's not, because police are compulsory and they have a monopoly.
Unless it comes to entering a school while there's a shooter.
Well, yeah, then that's different. That is.
So did you see that the chief of the Uvalde police actually got arrested
for that?
Yeah,
like a dereliction of, that's a policy violation, dereliction of duty. So I don't know. Like, what do you get arrested for?
Or charged, maybe not arrested, but he was charged with essentially that, like,
reckless endangerment
of children. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, because the argument can be made, right? Like, hey, it's your responsibility. You violated the contract. Like, you are supposed to protect us in the event that a school shooter happens. Like, that's your job. That's why you take taxes. That's why you do these things. And if you don't do it, there should be a repercussions. Unfortunately, most cases, when you pay your taxes and you don't get a service back for it, or the service that you get is like shit, there is no recourse. Like, because the government, our state has a monopoly on.
I'm not arguing that our state is doing things correctly.
You're just saying we need a state that is going to do things correctly.
Yes.
Okay. Well, to me, that seems utopian. That's all. It's as utopian as my worldview.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I just prefer, I would prefer it to be free than to be under the boot of somebody.
So one thing I was like thinking about coming on here this week, one thing I was wondering about.
You were worried.
Huh?
You were worried about it.
I was. In your utopian, anarchist, libertarian society, what do you use for currency?
Whatever has value, whatever we value. We could have a fiat currency, but although I doubt it, because in a perfect world, we'd all be economically literate.
Like, you would.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Perfect world.
It'd be Dogecoin.
Okay. But like, no, like, seriously, like, what would you use as a currency, and then how would you back up that currency?
Sure. So, well, I mean, we already have tons of examples of this, but like anything that had like buckskins were used. That's why we call it a buck, right? Like things that have value. Like we could have anything that we standardize for value. It could be a cryptocurrency. That's possible. It could be hard currency like gold. It could be silver. It could be something you could carry. It could be goods. It could be like services. It could be, anything could be currency, like anything. Literally, it's arbitrary.
Yeah.
It's because what would we have value is basically what you're asking.
But the thing with like I think there would need to be some form of hard or digitized currency in the case of Dogecoin.
Why would there need to be? Why would there need to be?
Well, yeah. I said this or that. Like, I mean, because you can't like down here in hot Arizona, we're not going to need a buckskin as much as someone, or beaver pelt as much as someone up in Canada.
I agree. Yeah. Yes.
So how would so that obviously would not be an adequate form of currency for us.
Yeah. It could be anything though. Like it could be like, it could be digital currency, or it could be like, hey, you're entitled to this much of, like, I can trade, like I'll do something for you, you do something for me, like that kind of thing, like a trade, like
so bartering,
a barter system could work, has worked in the past,
and also has been really inefficient in the past too.
Depends on the system. So like, yes, there are examples where it has been inefficient, but like on a community level, it's fine, works completely fine. You're talking about 300 million people, yeah, it doesn't work so fine, because you're right, you have disparities between resources, you have disparity between climates and cultures and all this shit. But I don't think we are supposed to be that large. You know what Dunbar's number is? Dunbar's number is a psychological principle where the size of the brain, the cortex of the brain, correlates to how many personal relationships a species can handle. So like chimpanzees is like 100 or 75 or something. Human beings is about 150. Like where you can maintain a personal relationship with about 150 people. So what they realized was,
I'm way below that.
You might not be though, if you really think about it. If you really think about the people you know and know things about, and you could have their phone numbers, that you could, if you saw them on the street, you would walk up to them and shake their hands and be like, oh shit, catch up. Like, not someone you just like know their name, like, but someone you kind of know, it's probably about that. It's just about average. So yeah.
I mean, well, that'd be like, there's a lot of difference between like knowing intimate details about someone and then recognizing someone like, oh, hey, we had a real great time we went out, we met at a bar and had a good time.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's acquaintance. But like, so like they found out like these chimpanzee troops, once they got to a certain size, I can't remember the exact, it was like 75 or something, they would break off, they would splinter off. So, and that was like kept happening across different troops, you know? So they were like, okay. And then they started witnessing this in other cultures, like, species. So and it had to do with the size of their brains. So like their brain size relates to how many, interpersonal relationships they can maintain. So it's called Dunbar's number. Okay. So now
you could also say that it depends on like how many resources they've got in that general area, how much the resources could sustain in that.
Maybe that could be a factor as well, why they split off. But like,
I'm sure there's not one. I'm sure it's not just, my brain can only recognize 75 other chimpanzees. Sure. Yeah. There's probably other factors to it, but that probably does also play.
I think they just correlated it with the brain. I don't know. Yeah. But like, anyway, there's a limit to how many relationships you can maintain. So now, whatever that number is for humans, it's not 330 million. You know what I mean? Probably not. So, you know, like, I don't think
it's probably like 320
at least, or at the most. I mean, so like, I just don't think that this overarching federal giant system we have, I don't think it's necessary, right? And then the other question that begs is then like, well, what happens if China wants to come over here and fuck you up? You know what I mean? Like, well, I think everyone should be responsible for defense. Like you could have, like there are private military organizations that exist today. Like in America, they exist. You have Triple Canopy, Blackwater, all those guys. That could exist, you know, like as a concept.
And also those private military companies could also say, you know what? We're just going to take over your town.
Hey, guess what? Governments can do that too. Yeah. They can go democidal. Yep. They have quite a few times in the last 21st century, you know, like, you know.
No, I'm just saying like, again, like.
It's a problem. Yeah. There's the same problems we have today could exist.
In your anarchist utopia.
But some of them couldn't. Like this centralization of power is by definition a violation of the non-aggression principle and private property rights. Yes. So like that wouldn't be an issue. So it eliminates that, but you would still have other issues.
Yeah. So, I mean, with the founding, like when they founded, the founders, like they wanted the most important, for my understanding, they wanted the most important, the thing that had the most to do with your life would be your local government, your town.
Sure.
Then to a lesser extent, your county, a little lesser extent, your state, then a much lesser extent, your country.
Yeah. DC or whatever. Yeah. That's 100% true. Like, I believe in personal individual liberty, right? And the most liberty you can get is down to the individual. Like that person should have the most freedom, right? So how do you create a system where they have the most freedom? Because whatever it is we have today, it's not that. You know what I mean?
So how do we get from here to there?
One increment at a time. When they're like, hey, do you think that we should grow this section of the government? You should have stopped them at grow. Like, hey, do you think we should grow? No, I don't. Yeah. You know, like,
I don't know. Same thing. Do you think we should increase taxes on? No,
I don't. I definitely don't. Do you think we should increase our spying? Nope. Whatever. Like, you just
government plus increase. No.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we started as the smallest government in the world, and now we're clearly the largest. You know. Yeah, I mean, we have the most. We are the global empire everywhere. I mean, we have military bases in like 900 military bases.
So like, I'll say like, I still think like, just cause I mean, I've lived over in China. Like I still think that they are much bigger presence on their citizens' lives than our US government is on ours.
I wonder.
I mean, that's my opinion from being over there for a year.
Why do you think that? They're more oppressive, but I don't know if they're bigger or more involved.
I think they have more. They 100% like have more involvement in their citizens' lives than we do. Like for example, you can over there you can buy a house and then after 50 years the government gets it back. It's not you get to give it to your kids. There are.
You also kind of don't get to do that here. You kind of do. Like,
well, I mean, so. Property taxes is what you're alluding to. Yeah. So
that's forever.
Yeah. Again, I don't agree with property taxes. Don't agree with estate tax. Don't agree with income tax. Don't agree with most taxes.
How far off are you from libertarian anarchist? Like how far?
I think that there needs to be something. I mean, you and I talked about this a few weeks ago. I think there needs to be somebody to say, hey, town next door or whatever is coming to invade, we all need to defend, organize and fight. Otherwise, if all able-bodied males or all able-bodied people don't man the defenses, we're kicking you out.
So you think that people should be forced to take responsibility for their own personal protection?
Or the protection of their community, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that there does need to be something that, with whatever size community you're living in, that you have one recognized currency.
Okay.
It can't be like...
Why?
Just because, like, I'm producing buckskins, you're producing wooden flutes. Okay, that's how you make your living, is you whittle a wooden flute and you trade that for milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Apparently my daughter almost made them fall down an escalator.
It's fun being a family man.
So I think there needs to be something. I don't think the barter system is efficient for the thriving or advancement of a society, at whatever size.
Okay. Why not?
Because I don't need a wooden flute. You don't need a buckskin. I'm not going to trade my buckskin for milk in order to get you to do something.
Yeah, but in a barter system, like, there would be multiple things that had value. So I don't need a flute. You don't need a buckskin. Mm-hmm. But there would be multiple things that would have value, that you would need something, I would need something. So if you need shoes or whatever, like, you value, I don't know, just you value X and I have X. And I value Y and you have Y, then we can trade that. And that could be, it would be anything.
Yeah. But if you have X and you want Y and I have C.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you could trade C to somebody or C is not valuable, so I get it. It's like, you want something that's universally valued, right? Like,
for at least within the community. I mean, obviously like you got a different community, like even just changing the dollar to the ruble or the yen or whatever that's a little bit different.
But I think you find that communities do value the same things. Like where you live does dictate what's valuable. Like, because if you live in the Northeast in the wintertime, you will value buckskins, like you will, like, yes, that won't translate to Arizona.
Yeah. But also but
I don't think that should exist. So
you don't think there should be trade between Arizona and the Northeast?
Sure. They could trade, because they'll have things, they'll have timber up there they won't have down here. So like, that will be valuable. So like, we do this already between states. Like, there are states that have resources that other states don't, and they fucking trade them. You know what I mean? Like
$4.
Well, sure, but now just replace dollars with that thing they want. Like, I as in Arizona, I want water, right? And wherever they're at, they want copper. We have a lot of copper. They have a lot of water. We're going to trade copper for water. You know what I mean? Like that. What's the problem with that, per se?
No, I'm not saying there's a problem. I'm saying it's not as efficient, because if you have one, like, use gold for the example, because that's been used for most of human civilization, most of human society. You have like, hey, I like this shiny, malleable rock. Yeah. I've got wood. I'm going to turn it into this shiny, valuable rock. Hot. Yeah. You've got water. I'm going to give you some of my shiny, malleable rock in order to get the water. That way we can trade it. It's a much easier to trade than, I want to go.
As long as that's voluntary, I don't have an issue with it.
I'm just saying, like, I think it's more efficient.
Probably, yeah. There are lots of things that could be more efficient. It's more efficient for me to lock you in your house from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. because if I wanted to stop fucking car accidents, it's more efficient for me to do that. But not really, though, right? Because I have to force you to do that, creates all these other problems. So if I wanted you to trade in gold has no actual value, then it's going to be hard for me to force you to do that. It's going to be more inefficient for me to do that. So like, I'm okay with any currency that people want to use, as long as people agree to it. That's it. That's my only fucking stipulation,
I just think that within a community, that you do need some.
I think that would happen naturally. I think that would happen.
Possibly.
Well, I mean, it's happened historically. It has happened. It has. Like buckskins, that was the thing in that area. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in that area, but then they would also change it $4.
Yeah.
Greenbacks.
But yeah, eventually, sure. Yeah. You could trade for that. You could standardize it. But that's what I'm saying. Because they had to they had to operate within that the country setting or whatever. But this would just be any voluntary interaction. Like you could trade buckskins for other. Yeah, I guess I can see your efficiency argument, but I don't know. as long as it's voluntary, I have no issue with it. So yeah, I could see that. Yeah. So, but what got us on this to begin with, though, talking about currencies,
Was the iPads?
It was iPads initially. It was like, how do you, if you know this isn't a government of the people for the people, how do you get what, like, it seems to me that you're what libertarians refer to as a minarchist. Like, you believe the government should be minimally involved. They should be responsible for like services, like the fucking roads, fire department, police, courts, minimal
courts,
is minimal as possible.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is every example we have of that always expands to what we have today. Not exactly, but it always grows.
Well, I mean, if we're going to go with, again, utopian ideals, it just won't.
So that would be your ideal.
Yeah.
Okay. That you would just have a state that did not grow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So like we basically be arguing utopias, I guess.
Yep.
Cool. We solved it. All right then. Yeah. See you next time.
All right. Slap hands.
Yeah. High five. Yeah, dude. Yeah, because like I get in these arguments all the time. The thing that your system and my system I think is clearly better than is the people who are for giant overarching powerful states. Like that's just logically not sound. It violates, usually when you start pressing on people, it just violates their own principles. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a real fucking problem. Yeah. So I don't know, dude. Like, I just see the system we have today and it's antithetical to what you want.
Yeah.
It's definitely antithetical to what I want.
I mean, I don't think you and I would be friends if I thought that the system we have today is the ideal.
Yeah, I've got friends that
You have friends or acquaintances?
Okay, that's true. Well, we went drinking one time. There's somebody I know.
One.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you who it is. But there are people I know that are statists. Well, technically to me, you're a statist, but like there are people who believe in, the overarching state. Like, oh yeah, of course they're spying on all of us and they need to do that. It's a good thing. You know what I mean? Like there are people like that.
Well,
for sure.
Mark, if you had nothing to hide, you
exactly right. If you have nothing to hide, then they should be able to look at your entire life. Like, don't
other news, random police officer was arrested for planting drugs on people.
No, dude, that's not true. That's the left wing just setting him up. That's what happened. Because when you get a super centralized, strong state, this becomes illegal for a decade, and then you get Al Capone and all kinds of shit, prohibition. Where do you stand on the drug laws? You can say this by policy. It's fine. Yeah, it's your personal views.
So I think the drugs are, for the most part, detrimental to society. I mean,
so are cheeseburgers. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can argue which one's worse.
Cheeseburgers. But if you want to talk about body count, it's definitely cheeseburgers.
True. I mean, there's like test studies again by the science have shown that, just marijuana is a lot more addictive, a lot more potent now than it was when our parents were going through the free-loving, peace-loving time of the hippies in the 60s and 70s. Sure.
That's actually irrelevant to what I think, but I agree with you. It's right. That's true.
I mean, my brother-in-law, who the big Bitcoin guy, who I can't get on to get to come on here.
Dude, fucking need somebody, man. It's hard to I know people know about Bitcoin, but they're like so fucking reluctant to talk about it for whatever reason. Like, I don't know what that is.
I don't know. He's like, I think if I'm right, it's exactly how you stand, where it's like, if you're consenting individual, consenting adult, take all the drugs you want.
This is exactly. Well, I mean,
I think that I don't know where I stand on the legalization or not of them. Because they are detrimental to society. They are detrimental to individuals. I think Portland has actually started to recriminalize drug usage after their 1, 2, 3 year, experiment with making them legal or decriminalized.
Yeah.
And I mean, if super left wing Portland says, "Hey, this is bad. We can't let people do this."
Sure.
Long story short, I don't know.
Yeah. So, okay. So to say that they're legal or you agree with them doesn't mean you think they're good.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. Like, I agree. I think prostitution should be legal. I don't think it's good. You know what I mean? I just don't think you should be put in jail for it. That's all. Like, cause like I said, my principles non-aggression, private property rights. So if someone's a prostitute, did they aggress on anyone?
No.
No, right? Like, no. Did they violate private property rights? Well, I mean, not as far as I know. If a prostitute steals from you, then yes, that should, that should go to jail. Cardi B, drugging people. I'm against drugging people and stealing from them. But the actual act of prostitution, I don't have an issue with it legally. Like morally, yes. But that's the thing. People confuse morals with legality. Every time the governments have tried to legislate morality, it's always gone south, dude. Okay. Always. Yeah. It's always gone south. Like prohibition. Like that went great. It was smashing. There was no hiccups with that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in my worldview, like this is the thing. Like this is the problem. Like people get turned off by libertarians because they'll be like, yeah, drugs should be legal. You should be able to do whatever you want. It's like, I don't think that at all. I think drugs should be legal, but you shouldn't be able to do what you want. Like
I think more people have problems with the libertarians saying, hey, we should trans the kids. That's fine.
Yeah, it's not that kids can be trans. It's that you should trans your kids. Yeah. That's a fucking problem because now you can think that, right? You can think that. And I think I have every right to be like, that's fucking retarded and it's wrong. And it's, it's immoral.
You should take a lead pill.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, so like, I think everyone should be free to choose, but you're also free. You're required to take the responsibility.
So at what point, like, so you mentioned it earlier, like
I'm gonna hit one more because I'm not driving anywhere. Yeah, I do have to load up an RV, which sucks.
Well, just doing the AC inside your house.
You're right. I did make the point earlier, but
all right. So at what point does a child have their own agency and they can make their own decisions?
Subjective. That is subjective 100%. Okay. Because one time I was telling the story the other day. I arrested a girl who was a prostitute. She was 15. And when I arrested her, this was in Texas, when I arrested her, I mean, she looked every bit of fucking 24. Like she looked like a full grown woman. She acted like a girl. She talked like a grown woman. And she's like, yes, she admitted she was a prostitute, but she did not seem victimized at all. Although you can make an argument like, yes, some things went wrong in her life. Yeah. Now she was 15, but I've also met 15-year-olds that are completely, sheltered, not, very vulnerable. Like you can argue that girl's vulnerable too, but it's different. It's subjective, right?
Now, some people do grow up faster, but
100%. It's not a good thing, but it's true. So I think it's subjective. Like to say, at 18, you're an adult. I know 18-year-olds that have no business making any fucking decisions for themselves. Yeah, me too. I know because I was that guy. Yeah. But there are 18-year-olds, there are 15-year-olds that I'm like, okay, this person, they can decide what they want to do with their life. You know what I mean? Like I can make that determination. But the only person that is justified in making that determination is the kid's parents, the kid, and maybe the immediate community around that kid that would know them culturally, like have some kind of relationship with them. Like some kid in Alabama, I have no fucking cultural
I would disagree with the community thing because it doesn't take a village. It's not the village's kid. It is my kid. It is your kid.
I just meant have a say. I'm not saying like they have the ultimate, like, like they have more relationship to the kid than I do.
Okay. So like the community, the small intimate community could determine what
if Arizona's age of consent is 16, right?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day. Like this is a problem for libertarians. They talk about this shit. It's not a very good issue to talk about. But in New York, it's like 18 or 17, one of the two. So they decided that it is okay for them, and Arizona decided this is what's okay for them. That makes sense to me because like culturally, they know they're 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Like in general. Now, ideally, you would get that smaller than the state. You would get it to the
local community.
At the very best, your house, like your household would decide. Like that's who would decide. But if the smaller you can get it, the better. But I believe that stuff is all subjective. So, but I do believe like there are some things that are not subjective. Like, can a 3-year-old decide to transition himself? No, it's not possible. It's not possible.
You mean your 2-year-old's not gay?
No, if I let my 2-year-old make the decision for what he's going to eat for dinner every night, he will eat cookies every fucking night.
Yeah. Mine would be chicken nuggets, probably.
Well, whatever.
Or Asian
that's
noodles.
Not great. Yeah, that's okay then. But I mean, like, yeah. So like, it comes when it comes to agency. I believe like you hold as a parent, you hold your kids' rights. Like you're like a protector and escrow. Whatever you want to call it.
At what point does the child like you as the parent and your kid have differing views, at what point does the kid get to say, no, I'm right because I'm an adult?
There's a line. So like, it's not 3 because
No.
like when it comes to like common sense reasonability, like this kid, if I left to his own devices, will destroy himself or herself. Then they're not, you as a parent, it's your duty to protect them from themselves. But there is a point where like I can protect you from DUIs by locking you in your house at 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I can protect you from, but that becomes
I mean, I could go and get hammered between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
But statistically, most of them happen between those hours. Yeah, I know most of them, but you're not driving right now. See, but most of them happen between those hours. So if I did make a lot, but at some point, yes, technically it accomplishes the goal, but at what cost? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, so I can protect my 17-year-old from themselves, but at what cost?
But at what point, like, that's not quite answering the question though.
Sure. What's your question then?
At what point do they, like, right now, per U.S. law, 18, all right, you say you want to, go get a tattoo. I can't stop you from going to get a tattoo of, dick butt on your arm.
Dick butt. Just a throwback. I know about dick butt. So there is I have a drawing of it in my truck, actually.
I believe you do.
I do, actually literally do.
I 100% believe you.
Yeah.
I wasn't being sarcastic.
Yeah. So, I think that's best left to the household of that person.
All right. But like, I mean, me personally, I don't want my kids to get any tattoos. I don't care if they're 50.
Then they should not be getting tattoos.
But
parental consent, like,
all right. So we'll say I'm 80, my kid's 50. All right. How am I going to stop him as a 50-year-old from getting a tattoo?
That's not reasonable at all. Like, there's
but
nowhere.
At what point does it become reasonable?
That's a good question. That's up to the communities to decide. So like,
okay.
There's nowhere, it's a societal pressure, right? It shouldn't be a legal pressure. It should be societal. Like, it is unacceptable for you to let your 6-year-old daughter walk down the street at 2 a.m. That is unacceptable socially and probably legally, but it's socially, who cares?
I don't think there's anything
I don't know
illegal.
Either. There might be some kind of
child endangerment. Maybe you could argue it. Yeah,
maybe, but like, yeah. So like that societally, people will be like, you're a piece of shit parent. And you'll feel the pressure from your dad, from everyone around you, your immediate people that you care about will be like, you're a piece of shit for doing that. Don't do that. You know what I mean? Or there will be consequences from them, But
you just don't think that should be legislated.
I don't think that should be legislated. I don't because it's the locking you inside your house between 6 and 6, like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Like that's what it does. Solves a problem, creates a lot more. So when I legislate, like all 18-year-olds can just do whatever the fuck they want at all times. You know what I mean? Like that's a problem. Because like some 18-year-olds do really horrific shit about that. And then it causes a lot of other problems. Like, okay, you're 18, you can go to war, but you can't fucking buy a pistol or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's stupid. Like it's dumb, arbitrary things.
Like you can't smoke anymore at 21. Again,
is it 21 now? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's just retarded, dude. You can't have a beer, but you can go die in Iraq or wherever, Israel or Ukraine. Yeah, which I remember in that conversation now that you were kind of like, oh, you guys kind of seem you guys are friendly to Putin. I'm like, fuck no, that dude is a dictator. Like, I wouldn't like him. We're just, the situation that we were told it is not what it is. That's a different discussion.
Yeah. We can touch that on some other day.
Because that's a whole different, we've already gone for like an hour and 20,
over an hour, yeah.
20 minutes. Yeah. There was a few minutes in there where you had a phone call and then I had to walk out. Very unprofessional.
Don't worry, you'll edit all that out.
I will. No, I actually will edit that out. I like to leave stuff in that's funny. Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. So basically, it all comes down to like, which direction are you going? Are you going toward more freedom or toward more totalitarianism?
I mean, you and I are definitely the more personal liberty.
Generally,
freedom.
Yeah. Generally,
you and I have I think I stop a little bit sooner than you do.
Yeah. Like we're all atheists when it comes to every other religion. I just take it one further than you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is. I just don't.
So are you atheist or agnostic?
So that's complicated. I'm both, but I know it comes into a whole different discussion. Like
flying spaghetti monster for you.
No, so there are people who be like, there is no God. Some people in the atheist community, they call that the strong atheist position. I don't have that position.
You're weak.
I'm a weak atheist. But every atheist is also an agnostic, right? Because if you said, do you believe in a God? If you can't say, every agnostic is an atheist. Because like if I say, do you believe in a God? And if you say, anything other than yes, you're agnostic, right? Oh no, you're atheist. Maybe I've had too many of these. Hold on. So because like agnostic means I don't know, correct? Right. Atheism is
means
saying
no.
No, I don't believe in a God, which is true. I do not believe in a God. I also do not know if there is a God or not.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Some people get confused by that. I just got confused by that. Yeah. So I'm assuming you're some sort of Christian?
Yep.
Okay. Not a Muslim?
No.
Why not?
I like bacon.
Okay. Well, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you ever just feel like you were just born into that? Because if you were born in fucking Syria, you don't think that you might be Muslim?
I wasn't born in Syria, though.
But if you were...
I mean, if you were born in Syria, you might be like, oh, we 100% need a government too.
I'd probably, maybe, or I'd be a lot more quiet about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I just say it seems like it's convenient that a lot of people are like in the areas that are born in, like people in the Amazon, like the uncontacted tribes are generally not Christians or Jews or Muslims.
No.
Weird. It's weird how that works out.
I mean, they're also not communist or...
No, they're not. Weird, right?
Yeah,
it's almost like you're a product of your environment more than you are a product of your system, whatever.
But I mean, you and I, like growing up in the United States, have much differing views on libertarianism, anarchy than someone growing up in China, Syria, Russia, Chile.
But if your parents were anarchists, isn't it a good chance that you're going to be an anarchist?
Not necessarily. I mean, in general. Yeah. I mean, but I mean, I'm sure you have the same thing. Like there's a kid I went to, well, he was in elementary school or middle school when I was in high school, but like his dad is super far liberal and he's very conservative.
Yeah. My dad believed there was a flat earth. I mean, like it's just there. Maybe you don't know what you don't know. Right.
Right.
So
I know your environment shapes everything about you.
That's my point. Like, it's just, I do find it weird if you were like, if someone came out of the Amazon, like an uncontacted tribe, and was like, let me tell you about Jesus Christ, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, but also like, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. In the face of irrefutable arguments like mine, I can see how that would be disorienting. Yeah, dude. So I don't know. That's just religion's a different thing.
I mean, yeah. We don't need to get into that.
Yeah. So, but some people's religion is the state. Like you'll find a lot of communists are fucking
because, well, I mean, I think a lot of like from what I've seen, like a lot of communists, like people empowering communism, like they want that.
I mean, you're all communists to me. Like everyone who believes that you should be taking from someone to fund something else is a communist. Socialist, I get it, but that's who I talked to today. Like he wouldn't describe himself as a communist; he would describe himself as a socialist.
The person you were on the phone with?
No, somebody
or someone else
offline.
Okay,
he was a self-described socialist.
Okay,
yeah, someone we work with, but yeah, I mean, but in reality, you are. I mean, all like Donald Trump is a socialist. Like anyone who believes in Social Security or
I don't believe in Social Security.
Oh, well, I'm not saying you do, but like anybody who does, like that fits right and left.
Yeah.
You know, anyone who believes that, like, oh, we should have a police force, so we should tax you to fund that police force. That's socialism, right? Like it's a social program. Yeah.
So it's a social program. It's socialism for you if it's.
Well, so what is socialism?
If someone tells you, you have to do it, not if your community comes together and says.
If it's voluntary, that's different, but that's not what when everyone's saying that government should be in charge of the military or whatever, any organization that is not voluntary, then that's socialist. Like we're going to take from people to
benefit society.
Society.
Benefit. We'll use
whatever you view as benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
So my wife just said the RV fucking AC is not turning on. I don't know.
It's gonna make for a bad trip to the Grand Canyon.
But no, well, I mean, I actually bought like a fucking swamp cooler, like a portable swamp cooler, just to help cool things off.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You got fucking modern problems require modern solutions, dude.
So we went camping up on Mount Lemon last week, and the entire time leading up to it, and while we were there, my wife was like, "Man, I wish we had an RV." I kept thinking about you. I was like,
"That's the shit."
We're not buying an RV.
Well, yeah,
but also like we get there, and as soon as we start like take the tent out of the car, it starts to downpour.
Like, damn, an RV would be nice right now. Yeah, dude.
Instead, we just sat in the car for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, no, dude. I've been in it through rainstorms. It's nice to have. It is.
Yeah.
I've been in a tent too. So
Once the tent was set up and I was inside the tent, it was perfect.
Yeah.
I had a lot more space.
yeah, it gets a little humid, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, the AC pulls the humidity out of the air.
Yep.
You know, it's very, very fancy. It's science.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, dude, I call it glamping, but yeah,
Yeah, I call it glamping too.
Yeah, I mean, it is glamping.
You're
It's
just
camping.
bougie.
Camping for people who don't like to camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't want to leave my house. I'll just take my house with me. Like, what? Yeah. Anyway, dude, this was a fucking dynamite discussion. Like, we are hour and 40 minutes, like a boss.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. So,
Minus the phone call time.
well, yeah, I'll edit about 9 minutes of it out. But yeah, so like, do you have any other questions about that? Like,
No, my only question is, are you actually going to edit something?
I literally will edit the phone call part out. I'll edit that out just because. Damn. Speaking of storms.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, so have I convinced you to be a anarchist?
No, but I think that, I mean, if we're dealing with utopias, but like the problem with your anarchist utopia is like the entire world would have to be on the same page.
No, definitely not. Because that, like, if I want to be a democratic republic, the entire world doesn't have to be on board. Like I can have your own form of government.
Well, I mean, as like I brought up last time we were talking about it, like at some point, if like, yeah, again, you got it, Russia and Ukraine right now, whatever side, like you'll have a bigger community, a bigger country aggressing on,
Sure.
whether they can, throw some justification on there or not, you will have a bigger unit aggressing on a smaller one.
Sure.
And I think that, like, as I said, like,
How'd that work out in Afghanistan for the US and Russia? I don't know. Like,
yeah, no, I'm not saying like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying they would win, but like there would be more, I think there would be more aggression. I think that the problem is I don't trust people in general. And I think that at some point you will get a warlord, you will get another country like.
Is that what you're advocating for? You're advocating for state. Like the war.
I want the state. I don't want my state to outwardly aggress. I want them to defend me from aggression.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you don't. Okay. So you don't want a warlord. Like in my situation, you think a warlord would just take over.
I think they would at least try. Yeah. And I think there would be.
Yeah, sure.
I think
I
there
agree.
would.
Yeah,
I think there would be a lot more stuff, a lot more deterrence if there was some sort of, whether for size community, centralized power to organize a defense against that.
Well, if like we had a Blackwater, like we had a triple canopy, like we had private organizations that were basically our militaries.
So, but the problem with that is like
They can take over. Yeah.
Yeah, you have. I mean, you have times like that in the Middle Ages, Renaissance, where they were like the
Mercenary groups.
thank you mercenary groups would be like, you know what, you're not paying us enough.
Sure.
We're going to sack your city.
Yeah, that's an incentive to like to pay what you owe, right?
But at the same point, they could be like, hey, this Mark's community, Dave's community is pretty weak. Yeah, you're going to pay us, and then we're going to renege on our deal, and we're going to
Isn't that more. Like a market pressure to not have a weak community? Like everybody should be armed. In my society, everybody would have guns. Everybody had fucking bombs. Like they would have all kinds of shit. Like whatever. Like if there was no regulation, like say, hey, you can have whatever weapon you want. Like, would you have fully automatic rifles? I would, for sure. I would have fully automatic rifles. I would have bombs if I could buy grenades. I would have grenades. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't make them because I wouldn't want to blow up my hand.
I immediately thought that when I thought that. I was like, I'm going to fuck myself up here, kill my kids, like whatever. I will buy grenades from a reputable source. Probably the Taliban, because they have a lot of our grenades. But, like, I don't know. I would have all that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, it would be very costly for anyone to wage war. Like, because like,
yeah, but there's at some point, I mean, again, you could still reach that. You could see that now but a big country attacks smaller country, but
sure.
Like a country is a bigger entity than a small town or a community.
Yeah. It would be possible. Like, hey, China could be like, let's say we all broke up into anarchist societies, but we're all still
damned balkanization of the US.
Yeah, we balkanize, and everyone's just like, but we're all still the same Americans. Like, there'll be like, it'd be easier to take over like Portland or like Oregon because they have less gun ownership and much softer people. It'd be easy to take that. But that doesn't mean they couldn't have a treaty with like everyone around them. Like, hey, if we have to get attacked, you come help us. We'll give you fucking mescaline or psilocybin or whatever their main export would be, from Oregon. Weed, coffee, man. I don't know. I know nothing about Oregon.
No.
But like whatever. So they could have like just like states have, you could have mutual pacts with communities, like, and that could be fine. That's not outside the realm of possibilities. And it would be so costly. Like if we all like,
yeah, but the problem with that is like,
that's what the Taliban is, but not Taliban. That's what Afghanistan was basically. It was a bunch of warring tribes, like tribes.
Yeah, but I mean, you had the Northern Alliance, which was a bunch of tribes, versus the Taliban, which is one centralized thing, and who won? Well,
it's not. But it's not. It wasn't a guarantee they were going to win. Like they could have easily have lost. Like hypothetically,
take out the U.S. involvement between the Northern Alliance and the Taliban. I think it was pretty much guaranteed that the Taliban was going to win. That's
but the
why
Taliban
they were
also won against the U.S. So like it's just a smaller group, which would be your community, could defeat a larger group like the Taliban. Like even they're organized. That's what I said. I'm not against hierarchy or organization, any of that. I just think it should be voluntary. So like if the Chinese land in California and we're all,
I wouldn't use California as an example.
That's true. Yeah, right. Okay. If
they land in Arizona,
sure. If they land, somehow they land in Arizona from whatever, they land in Arizona, and everyone is like, hey, these people are coming to kill all of us. Like, let's mount a defense. I'm not against like everyone, anarchist societies, like whatever, organizing to repel that, or fighting a guerrilla war, or however they want to do it, hypothetically. Like, because
what if I didn't want to? I'd be like, you know what?
Sure, you have a right. You have a right to not do that. But I just don't think that's reasonable that everyone's going to be like, yeah, let's just let the Chinese take us over. Like, if you're all anarchists, like if you care about freedom or liberty or any of those principles, you could be like, yeah, I just would rather them take over. Whatever. That's fine. Sure. You could do that. That happens in governments, like states, all the time.
But there's also,
you have collaborators,
Yeah.
So I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities that you could repel a much larger force, because we have examples of it. That's all I'm saying, or it would be logistically very hard for them, because culturally, let's say we're a culture of anarchists that love freedom, and an oppressive regime like China comes over here and is starting to like invade. I mean, I can see how that would cost them a lot, like I'm willing to die for this stuff, and there's a lot of people like me, like I'm willing to defend my family. I'm willing to die for my family. So like, I will make it very costly for the main force, like I'll die probably. You're right. I'll probably die, but like how committed are they? Like how many of their people are they willing to sacrifice?
I mean, it depends on the country. Like Russia has no problem.
That's true. But eventually even they have limits. Like,
and I mean, shit, I think China has 100 million excess males.
Yeah, they have a lot. You're right. They have a lot. But how many people can you throw against them? Because I'll take myself against a normal Chinese soldier. I will fucking smoke a normal Chinese soldier. Not like they have special forces, obviously, but like some normal dude who just like got conscripted, like that guy's going to die 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10.
It's number 10 that.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm going to die, but like how costly is it going to be for them? It will be very costly, and especially their economy is not very good, but yet. I just think that there's a lot of variables there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a given that they'll just be like conquering everybody.
Yeah.
Cause like, I hate to keep pointing to it, but you literally have decentralized fucking Afghanistan, and that we did not win that, we didn't win that one. And not because we couldn't have killed everybody. If your goal is to kill everyone, that's a different thing than conquering somebody like per se.
I don't think, I don't know how much. It depends on the goal. If your goal is to conquer the people or to conquer the land.
Yeah, but either one of those, like say you're going to conquer the people. Yeah, I'm going to murder every man, woman, and child in America. Well, then the people who are like, well, I'm not fighting. I mean, I seem pretty sure they would probably fight. Yeah, there'd probably be a lot more of them fighting in that case. And it would just be very logistically expensive for them. Yeah, I mean, we're the strongest country in the world, and we fail at it. You know what I mean? We're the most sophisticated, advanced people, and we still fuck it up. I don't know, dude. Yeah. So be an anarchist. Yeah. Don't worry about China. Your own government is a bigger threat than China is, or any government for that matter. Your own government is the one you should worry about for sure. For sure.
Or just all governments.
Yeah, but on the hierarchy of threats.
Well, yeah, because it's closer.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They have more influence over your life than any other government in the world. So they teach you to fear all these other governments, but yours is completely fine. Like, that's not the reality of the situation. I can see how people fall in that trap though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good talk.
Yeah, dude. Solid, man. Well, fucking Dan's gonna be mad he missed this one, but it was kind of last minute, and I'm leaving tomorrow, so yeah, dude. Come back. We'll fucking talk about the religion thing because I want to talk about that with you. So think about your religion or your belief system or whatever. And we didn't really get into your morals, but we'll get into that next time.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. One way out. This is episode fucking 17. Fucking adding up. All right, dude.